Morning, everyone. So, grab your hot beverage, get cozy. In this video, we're going to talk about the most searched questions about artists because, my gosh, some people the questions. So, why are artists so pretentious? And I think it's because celebrities are the most listened to artists because, like, all my friends, like, they watch really commercial crappy films or they eat hot dogs or things like that. So we're not particularly that highbrow or snooty. But it people that don't have artists in their lives like kind of reference the image of an artist based on celebrities, and it's a very warped view of the group of people that we are. Also, critics, they really set the tone when it comes to official opinions regarding art. But a lot of critics, because nowadays anybody can be a critic, you don't need that much of a credential. You can be an influencer and people consider you an art critic. um, they can be from journalism or philosophy or just off the street, basically. And a lot of people don't know that being an art critic and being a artist are two different jobs. They conflate the two people together, and quite often critics don't actually make any art. They just criticize other people for making it. And also, professor can sometimes encourage the stereotypes. And now I'm gonna go off a bit to kind of lay some history on you from my country, East European country where we had communism. Um, a lot of people were making their living by ratting out their friends and family. like that was their income. In the U.S., you had the Reagan blacklist, and he was writing out his artist friends from the film industry, like trying to catch the communists. And here in the East, we were trying to catch the capitalists. So the same BS, um, different restaurant. Uh, and for example, a lot of them then became academics or things like that after communism fell. For example, I never understood when I was younger why my dad really didn't like some of my teachers. My dad is also from the film industry, and I went to film university, and turns out some of them had been ratting out people, including him. He had gotten arrested during communism. And on my husband's side of the family, someone did serve 15 years time, hard labor, because of an off comment he made during a film show. So, a lot of these people, they're not actually artists, they're just rats. They worked as rats their whole lives and don't actually do any art, know any art. They're just, art is a very convenient cover for them, because if you're pretending to be a scientist, for example, you kind of have to be literate and be able to count and add. But as an artist, these are not really that important. Like, you can fudge and pretend you're an artist, and people will believe you if you do something. Because art is very subjective industry, how should I say? And so, like, it's easier to blend in. Another question: why are artists so weird? Uh, maybe people should ask why we have such exciting lives. I think it sounds better. But yeah, it's in a way it's a job requirement. Be eye-catching, and being shocking is the easiest way. Like making gross art or controversial or I don't know, offensive, and just saying, "Oh, but I'm an artist and you just don't understand me." I'm not offensive and a bad person or something like that. I'm just misunderstood. And it's kind of, I think people that get offended will maybe say weird just to be less offensive. What they actually mean is like they really hate the guts of that artist. Also, there's the mental health issue aspect. A lot of people do suffer from mental illness. A lot of us suffer from physical illness. I think the statistics are that you'll have some depression at some point in your life, or some other mental health issue like anxiety or I don't know, not my area of expertise, but it happens. And I would say that the art industry is one of the most inclusive and accepting fields of work. Like it's kind of have gotten to the point that a lot of behavior that might not be necessarily tolerated in other industries is in the art industry. Also, there are certain industries that actually even need some a neurotypical behavior. Like for example, for business, if you're um, psychopathic, like you're not able to have empathy or process these things, like they make you more competitive. Being an actor, for example, you kind of have to skirt a bit with narcissism, which is, I understand, a neurological disorder. But like the people that do have like full on blown out narcissism, it can interfere with their lives. So it's not like if you're suffering from this, be an actor, it's gonna be okay. No, it's not gonna be okay. But um, it's gonna be more tolerated than if you were an accountant or I don't know. I don't know what is a boring job that nobody ever sees you. Film editor. No, joking. I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's kind of why maybe people think artists are weird. Again, is the exposure, it's the nature of the job, and then there are like underlining issues. Like a lot of artists seem to have what do you call it? When you have depression and manic episodes and like bipolar disorder, I think. Also, because artists are so high profile, like everybody knows what their mental health issues are, and people just give opinions all the time about what they're suffering from, which isn't exactly ideal, but you know, that's how we are. Why are artists so mean? I would say au contraire, mon ami. We are, however, really opinionated because to make art, you have to have feelings and opinions about stuff. That's generally a requirement. We're a lot more open, I would say. To be a successful artist, you must share your art, your soul, your whole being. Like actors put themselves out there more than any other artist. And it's painful, it's stressful, it's a lot of things. And also because we are opinionated and open, like we'll have opinions and you'll hear about them. So maybe that's why some people think artists are mean. I would say that if you have an artist friend and you're asking them if that dress makes you look fat, they will not only say, yes, honey, that dress makes you look fat, and also does not go with your eye color and your skin tone. So leave it be. Don't buy it. And I think some people can confuse criticism with being mean because they can't tell the difference. And they lean more on the toxic positivity side of things. Like I've met plenty of people that are just seem completely insane. They're always smiling. They never say anything that could be mean, never let you say anything that might be a criticism. And it's suffocating and bizarre and counterproductive because you don't want to go looking horribly to an event. You want to go in a dress that actually looks good on you. So, yeah, that wanted to put that in. And also to kind of continue dismantling this idea that artists are mean, I would say that look at minorities. Entertainment has always been a refuge for them. From Jews with films in Hollywood to African Americans in music and gypsies with music in the circus. Like that's kind of been an acceptable way for them to be a part of society in a positive way. Um, so yeah, I think that artists aren't as mean as people seem to think. They're actually more accepting and friendly than maybe a lot of other industries where um, they won't say anything mean, but they'll definitely not accept and like you. Next questions. Why are artists so bad at math? Uh, I would say three reasons. At home, the misdirect of talent and neglect of basic needs. Often parents that are lazy, I've noticed, be like, oh, my child is just not good at math. And I think that's false because the math that you do in school is really not complicated. Like, you can say your child's not talented and does at math when they reach university, maybe not encourage them to go to a mathematics university because that's going to be over their abilities. But when it's early on, I don't think it's the best idea to just write them off and say, oh, they're good at drawing, but they're not good at math, so like we're not gonna bother. I think, on the contrary, if you're lacking in something that is very important, like math, like reading, you have to put more effort into it to keep up with what is required of you to be able later on to manage in life. A school, it's another issue, underfunding and unbalanced time spending. Of course, schools being underfunded, having bad teachers, that with low salaries, you're not gonna attract maybe the best people. Um, and then, for example, I had the high schools separated, mathematics, informatics, biology and chemistry was one, economics was another, music, high school that would prepare you again for university. So in my country, in Romania, we have high schools separated, like the separation for the direction in life that you're going gets made in high school, and you have music high school, you have painting high school, and so on. So, and often those are gonna, for example, painting high school is gonna have less physics and math and chemistry, and it's gonna have a lot more classes in painting. And I think that that's not maybe the best idea. Even though I wanted to be an artist, I still went to a mathematics and informatics high school because learning math, physics, chemistry, like these are very important. Like we started in middle school and then continued this in high school. And it's very good to have like a better understanding of the world you're living in. Like, for example, now we have a pandemic and you have to get informed about stuff, and it's easier to be informed about things if you have like a better preparation in the background for stuff that is pretty basic in my opinion, like math and physics and stuff like that. um, and I mean, I understand you need to like train a lot to be a good musician. Like you start when you're 6 years old and you do piano for your whole life, and you're gonna go to music high school, and then you're gonna go to a conservatory university. But I think that math should never be neglected because it's very important. Throughout your life, you're gonna need to do adult stuff like pay taxes and do paperwork and things like that. You need to be able to count. Another issue I would say is societal complacence and acceptance of deficiencies. So, again, we have that, oh, I'm an artist, so I'm bad at math, and that's okay. I've seen a lot of Americans that are plumbers or other things like that, and they just laugh off the fact that they're bad at math, and sometimes they'll tell you unprompted that they're bad at math like it's something to brag about. I don't know. I mean, I'm not particularly good at it, but I try and keep it a secret, like not let everybody know that I'm stupid. I would say that I've gotten worse at math since I married my husband, who is a physicist. So I used to do a lot of calculations myself for the paperwork I needed to do, buy groceries, a lot of things like that. I would just pull out my phone and do the calculations at the store and things like that. But that takes time, and my husband can just do the calculations in his head, like snap, he did them. I don't have to press any buttons, take out my phone, put it back in. So it's very convenient to have like a walking, talking Google computer type person. And like, oh, what detergent should I get? Like, what's the best price per quantity of like these boxes here? And he'll look at them and tell me, yeah, this one. And so my I wasn't great at math, and it's just gotten worse because of that. So I'm trying to get better at it because it's embarrassing, and I think you should feel embarrassed as well if that's the case, and try to do better. Uh, I'm glad that we kind of have this question, but I'm a bit skeptical. I'm like, is it sarcastic? Like, why are artists important, or are they genuinely curious as to why we're important? Personally, I think we're important because we can be very dangerous. um, so these are not that much my opinion, but it's kind of like what people have told me. Um, Mental health aspects. So entertainment, comfort, healing, empathy, these are all things that you can get from pieces of art. And again, with this pandemic, a lot of people have found refuge, have found comfort, healing, managing their situation with films, with video games, streaming of people doing stuff on Twitch, on YouTube. So I would say that this has brought into my attention sort of like a new aspect of importance of art in society. A lot of people have debated this stuff about the mental health aspects and the utility of art. I've personally haven't found any like conclusive evidence for it. I think it's still ongoing, the research of how useful video games are to mental health. I'm sure you guys can look around as well to kind of form your own opinions on this. Another aspect I would say is the propaganda. Empires can fall with ideas that are transmissible through art. Either theater plays or films nowadays. We all know about the propaganda posters from World War II, from the Cold War, and so on and so forth. So there's definitely propaganda aspect that has influence, sometimes enough to change things very drastically. But like, I wouldn't say art is as how should I say, world changing as some people like to say that, oh, the pen is mightier than the sword. And I'm like, yeah, but a sword is pokier than a pen, so depends. And then, of course, production, like packaging, roads, and warning signs. Somebody drew the chips on your potato bag. Somebody has drawn road signs. Data storage as well, like books, paintings, like the cave paintings that were illustrated with a lot of animals that are now extinct. That's one way of storing data through art. Of course, all the medieval books that you've seen, so beautifully illustrated, and we continue to do this through films and documentaries and so on. So I would say that these are the three main ways that you can like answer this question: why are artists important? Um, why are artists so underpaid? Wow. So yeah, it's kind of true. I would say it has to do with understanding. Many misunderstand the time and equipment needed, and they treat it as a luxury. Art supplies are expensive, computers are expensive. I think a lot of people don't understand how art supplies and computers work, and Also, they think that art is a luxury when actually you do need a logo, you do need pamphlets and posters if you're a company. It's like not a luxury, it's a cost you have to pay monthly to stay on top and continue selling. In the modern economy anyway, like maybe back in medieval times, all you needed was a carved piece of wood that you can write it yourself or something. But nowadays, the information flow is so big, you need help with someone making it appealing and eye-catching. And also depends on who you ask and what counts as art. Like architects tend to be paid fairly well, and that is art, I guess. Celebrities do all kinds of stuff, and you kind of can consider some of their stuff art, and they get paid ridiculous amounts of money. Another thing is legislation that's contributing to the poorly paid artist stereotype, because in many places it lacks the legal framework to make it a safe career. Like here in Romania and the Western world in general, being an artist is a legit job. Like you have a little code there, and when you go even to like registration or hospital, something like that, it will show up that you are employed and the status of your type of employment. For example, you're an artist, that's a desk job, or maybe not. There are many types of artists, but overall we tend to fall under one umbrella. And like I said, it is a legit job. There are a lot of unions in Europe, the actors union, the screenwriters union, and so on and so forth. And a lot of these things don't exist in other countries, second, third world. And even in some countries in the first world, like their protection is very lacking. So you can have a lot of issues. Another problem is wealth gap, and I would say that for artists it's some of the biggest gaps because you have like the big shot celebrity stars. There are artists and just making ridiculous amounts of money, and then maybe you have like your corner street artist that is making some portraits in a plaza somewhere. You pay them like 10, 15, $20, and they illustrate you and your dog on the street in 30 minutes. Like that's not gonna be a great salary for them, and also they have to pay taxes to be there and so on and so forth. So yeah, not great. Why are artists so depressed? All the reasons above and then more. So stability and safety are generally the two main issues that contribute to depression, according to statistics and websites that deal in psychology and mental health on the internet. You can check this out your stuff as well. This is kind of my research that I've done. Again, I'm just an artist. I'm not a psychologist or a lawmaker or anything like that. This is just kind of what I found. So, and my, of course, my own opinion, experiences. So there's a high turnover in the industry, also from burnout on projects. The many of the art projects are finite, so like you're doing a film or you're doing an advertising campaign or whatever you're doing, it starts and it ends. So then you have to look for a job again. You're not gonna be employed for many years. I've generally been employed full-time as a graphic artist at a food company or a children's entertainment company, and I was employed there until they went bankrupt, so that's another issue. Like if the economy of your country is unstable, that adds even more pressure on a pretty volatile industry to begin with. Also, It's highly subjective to trends, like maybe it's trendy to do some kind of art this year, next year it's not, so people just stop buying it, the company goes under, or they have to change. And then it's strongly linked to technological development. So let's say you've trained your whole life to be a 2D artist and you're animating 2D, and then all of a sudden 3D animation comes off. The whole radio killed the video. No, videos. TV killed the radio star or something like that. So again, the 3D modeling killed the 2D artist in some ways here in the West. They're still holding on in Japan and in Korea to 2D animation, but it's all gone digital. And for those that haven't been able to make the leap, they became unemployed. And being poor when you're old is a very bad combination because you have health problems, expensive health problems, lack of support, and like nobody wants to hire old people for various discriminatory reasons. So, yeah, that can make you depressed. Then safety, so missing laws in a lot of countries we've talked about this. They might not have the proper legislative framework to protect employees, especially those in art industries, but like it's even worse for minors and other hard laborers. We also deal with a lot of harassment as artists. Like everybody knows about crazy people breaking into actors' homes, stealing stuff, sending death threats, just sending them horrible messages. It's just being being an actor is one of the more dangerous forms of art. Of course, if you're some kind of political painter, um, we all know about the Charlie cartoonists in France. So yeah, depends on what you're dabbling. You can not have that safety aspect. But always look on the bright side of life. Statistically, we're not the most depressed, and here's kind of I try to make a collection of all the statistics regarding the worldwide state of. I'm not gonna say it, I don't want to get demonetized, but it seems that being a doctor, a vet, as in veterinarian, I didn't have enough room to write there, nurses or ambulance workers worldwide is a very depressing job. And then here in the West, you don't have the housewife segment because being a housewife is not an occupation, it's a hobby, it's a lifestyle. You don't get paid for being a housewife, you don't pay taxes, so you're not considered employed, you're considered unemployed. So that's kind of why I have that slot there. And the second one, in a lot of other countries, housewife is considered a job. But okay, cultural differences. And apparently they're very miserable and unhappy. And I guess if you have an arranged marriage and you're not allowed to express or work or do anything with your life, that will make you very unhappy. And then on first law, we have police and firefighters that again see a lot of horror. Then construction and mining is very bad. You generally end up sick, poor, and broken. So I guess that's why it's pretty high up. So yeah, being an artist is. We're not the most depressed. I think we're the most loud about being depressed because we make entertainment content that pretty much everybody consumes, like memes. Generally, artists are gonna make memes or somehow contribute to making memes because some actor played in some film, so they take a screenshot, and people get the impression that artists are the most depressed people on earth. As you can see, there are a lot of other people that are way more miserable than us. So, pat ourselves in the back. We're not worst off. At least we get to do something that we love. A lot of people hate their jobs, like people that work in legal and administrative, in finance and sales. They want to tear their eyeballs out. So, yeah. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Sorry it was a bit long, but there was a lot to cover. Losing my voice. So, if you want to help me out, like, sub, comment, and what else do you want me to tackle next? Leave your suggestions in the comments below, and I'll read them and think about it, and if I can't do the video, I will. So yeah, thank you for watching. You can find me on these social media platforms. If you like my art, you can commission me on Fiverr. If you just want to support me because you think I'm awesome, and I also want to thank you for all of you who have supported me. Yeah, and you can find me on Ko-fi, on Patreon, and support me there. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye bye.